2020 video game.
Alright, so this is I haven't played the game. You've played the game?
Ding, ding.
That's correct? Okay, so you've
Yeah,
played this game,
correct.
but I've not.
Ding means correct, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Terminator Resistance, I'm just looking at pictures of it. So, it's very linear, but they try and pretend it's like an open world scavenger thing.
Ding, ding.
So, they want you to feel like this is Fallout with Terminators, but really it's like every other Terminator Portal game that they've ever done, where it's got to be very linear, because the developers can't create an open world game. They have to create a level game.
Ding, 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 ding.
So you can only go, like, whenever you're going on mission A or whatever, you're outside a lot, so it seems like it's open world, but you've only got, like, a certain radius from the path that you can go left or right, and it's just a bunch of broken cars, and then it's, like, collapsed buildings that, like, hedge you in, so you can't actually go anywhere. And then all the stuff that you're going to find, you're going to, like, pick it up, and it's going to glow, of course, because people are stupid and they can't find stuff on their own. And, of course, you can carry an infinite amount of very, very heavy scrap metal. It weighs nothing, so... But they want you to feel like it's a more gritty version of Fallout with robots. Okay, so the Terminators... they'll probably be, like, progressively harder as you go through the game, like, because they upgrade them. I guess maybe eventually you get to fight, like, a hunter killer, one of those great big rolling ones, is like one of the main bosses.
I would assume so, yeah. Progression's pretty linear.
Yeah. But mostly for, I guess, the first part...
Yeah, I played, like, 4 hours, maybe.
Okay. Well, it's probably got, like, 16 to 19 hours of actual gameplay if you just did everything. But on a speed run,
10 hours, yeah.
I was gonna say on a speed run, you're probably like maybe 10 hours. Anyway, so in essence, what this game is Metro. What's the first? Is it just called Metro? The first Metro game where you're in the. No, before that, the original one where you're in the sewer. Or the.
I never played it.
I never played it either, but I know it's very linear.
Which is pretty much every game thereafter.
Right. Well, anyway, but Metro is extremely linear because you're in a subway. That's what you're in. You're in a subway. The Metro, of course. So anyway, so that's a very linear game, and, like, ammo is scarce. So I'm gonna guess they try and make ammo scarce here, but you can find out. But you're gonna find out. Yeah, you're gonna find out that if you only put everything that you scavenge into buying ammo, then you can just spray the enemies down with bullets, and that's what makes it fun. You're gonna be just fine. But anyway, so this is basically just a graphically different version of Metro, because there is what appears to be open skies above you, but you can't really go anywhere. Anyway, oh, and there's laser guns in those.
Well, you know how boring Fallout 3 when you get outside of the cities, like, just roaming around is?
Yeah, unless I'm, like, dead tired and listening to music and I'm 17 years old again.
Jeez, that hurt. Anyway.
That's pretty on point, wasn't it?
That hurt, yeah. Man, we're getting old. Oh,
no, see, that's the thing. I used to play, that was years ago, I used to play the old PS2 and Xbox and stuff. Back when Terminator games were on those, I played those, but they were all linear. It's all basically the same game. You know, and usually that stuff, I think, was like third person. So back when taking cover was a big thing, they did that. Anyway, back to Terminator, the latest iteration.
The Salvation, or whatever it is.
Yeah, Resist Salvation. Terminator Resist Salvation.
Yeah.
We're gonna resist Trump. Anyway, okay, so the main characters, I'm guessing. See, I want to say that they're gonna change. Like, you're gonna start off with somebody that you would think of as a hero, and then it becomes a girl. But they probably just make you a girl all the way through.
No, that's a negative.
A negative? Oh, good. But are the women in charge?
Well.
Oh.
Ding.
That's a ding.
So ding. You get a lot more orders from the women than you do from the man who's driving the bus. So.
Man driving the bus. Well, you can't hear him because he's wearing a mask.
It's funny too because you know how, like, you know how developers now, they're so PC and everything?
Uh-huh.
So it's like it's on the nose, like how racist these people are,
Nice.
because they made the guy that drives the party bus, he's black,
Nice.
so he's moved up to the front in their eyes. So
Front of the bus.
You know?
No.
These people are so up their own butts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. You know, they're going to sacrifice any kind of story because they have to diversify the cast.
Yeah, it's funny because he's in the front driving the bus where he takes everybody where they're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
But the women are giving the orders, and he's just kind of like, my name's Jacob, and I don't, it's like, yes, sir, no, sir, master, sir.
No, sir, master. Well, that's kind of like, but that's kind of like black people anyway. In all media, is they have to take orders from women because that's what they want the black men to do in real life.
Yeah, it ain't going to work out just like that in the end.
Well, but look, you always have to look at how they pander to black women, like black women is strong and black women was plains and she. Anyway, you know, they've got to, because these women are so ugly and they've got such shitty attitudes and no men want to touch them.
So let me carry it further. Let me blow a hole in this whole thing. So, like, you know how you see that protect black trans lives or protect black trans women? Basically, guys that want to dress up and have homosexual sex dressed up in drag, you're supposed to protect them, you know?
Right.
Okay, so, like, the temples of old, like every major worship where people were voluntarily castrating themselves and stuff and doing pedophilia and human slavery, that was all androgynous sexual temple worship. That's where all that leads, and that's when you see it on the rise, that's where it's leading to. Because these people that do this and promote this, they're already eating people. They're already doing terrible things in the dark that you would never believe.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kinds of people that promote this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because androgyny in a culture always goes the same way. Just the same way that, you know, human sacrifice or abortion always goes the same way. It destroys the culture every time. You got cultures across the world that archaeologists dig up and they have no idea. This is a huge place, and it seems like it died over the course of like 100 years.
Yeah.
And it's like there's nothing left of it. You know, you can look at the Aztecs, like what the hell happened there?
Yeah.
You know? Same thing. They start eating each other, and that's what happens.
Yeah, I would expect that that's what would happen.
That's why I'm not afraid of a future where the machines are in control. Because if the machines are in control, people would actually try to rally against them and not eat each other.
Maybe.
But instead, it's going to be all people all the time.
But didn't you know that the robot overlords demand that we castrate ourselves and eat each other? So there's that to look forward to. But no,
that, ladies and gentlemen, is Terminator Resistance.
No, so it's going to be a lot of bullshit like that because it's, you know, you'll have probably the transhumanist angle come in. I bet you somebody in the cast that you'll take on at some point will be an infiltrator Terminator.
Yeah.
And maybe they're good and maybe they're bad. You might have to make a decision, but it will be cool when, like, you don't know who's going to, like, become a monster robot and try and kill you. So, essentially, the only way that you can enjoy this game, though, because the PC narrative is going to escalate. If you've only played it for 4 hours, then you can't be more than halfway through the game.
No, I'm, like, at the 10% mark, I think.
Right. So.
Well, I'm just going slow because I'm dilly-dallying. I've seen it all before. I'm just looking at, you know, what's around.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I didn't even play the game the way it was supposed to be played. So.
Right. Well, that's the thing with a game like this. The only way that you're going to enjoy the aesthetic, which is it's supposed to be for the die-hard guy who watched 80s movies, and you know that's all they have to look, you know, out on the world and enjoy is nostalgia because the modern era sucks, and the feminists and the faggots and the diversity people and the alphabet people are ruining everything. All that we have to look...
They're stealing their way to power, that's for sure.
Well, but all that we can really enjoy is what came before, or in our case, things that happened before we were even born.
Right.
You know, we're nostalgic for a time that we weren't even part of. So,
yeah, that's a big thing.
But the bargain with this, as with a lot of the retro, you know, stuff, is you can enjoy it. You know, you can enjoy the nostalgia, you can enjoy the aesthetic. I'll bet the aesthetic of the Terminator game is actually really good. I bet I bet it's a lot of, like, if you go back and you watch the films, they went.
Yeah, it's very good. That's what's giving it the high marks. Is it's very good.
Good
as far
aesthetic.
as a video game screen adaptation. Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah. Well,
and it feels good. Like the music, the score, and everything. It's like the score. I can tell they have the one synthwave track they play over and over when you're in danger, but it works.
Right.
It works until you're sick of the game after 6 to 9 hours, and you'll never play it again.
Well, I'll bet you, though, that after 6 to 9 hours, the tempo and pace of the game becomes really streamlined, and you have less than 10 meters of space to explore on either side, and so they're just trying to get you through the game to be done with it at that point. And to distract you from the rushed feel of the later part of the game, they'll probably give you, like, these really awesome laser cannon machine guns and a shit ton of enemies everywhere that you're just having to constantly blast.
Sure.
And they'll introduce some kind of a power-up thing that, like, gives you infinite ammo for a period of time. Like the same stuff that you would have had in Doom, but it's in Terminator game. And so you're like, oh, it's this special MacGuffin bauble. It's special tech. This is future tech. This isn't even for regular consumption by the Terminators. This is like a prototype weapon. It'll be some prototype once you get to the Skynet thing.
I find it interesting this kind of indie studio was able to snag the license after the last Terminator debacle.
Well, but the studios keep ruining all the film, the screen releases of everything Terminator related. I mean, the only good ones is number 1 and number 2, and everything after that has just been a cash grab, and it's people that really, it's sort of like the Star Wars thing. It's people that aren't real fans of it that are writing it, and so the look is all wrong, the dialogue is wrong, the pacing is wrong.
Oh yeah,
it's just
like
crap.
Blizzard, new team of Blizzard when they made Diablo 3, it was like everything about that game was wrong. Like everything about it. Yeah. This was some other game, and it wasn't very good.
Yeah, it's all bullshit. Yeah. So, but and I would wager there's probably going to be a lot of PC horse shit in it. But if you want to enjoy some kind of nostalgia thing, then that's the price you have to pay. Is you have to turn your nose up at it and pretend that you aren't really imbibing it, and you are. You are taking it on by playing a game like that.
The weird thing about our generation, we were nostalgic for a time that we didn't experience, and yet the generation after us, they're not nostalgic for anything, and they don't. It's weird that they're imbibing like the creations of these developers that are based on nostalgia that we didn't even experience.
Yeah.
And the kids today, they don't even know, I guess, if it's good or it's bad. They're just like, oh yeah, sure, another thing. No wonder they're all turning into communists and burning down police buildings. They got nothing to do. There's nothing that relates to these people. They're like a blank slate.
Well, this is the rise of the cam girl generation, dude.
Cam girl generation. Explain this.
Well, but all these girls that are like, they're born in like the last 18 or 19 years, and they whore themselves out online for a living.
And where do they do this? Online, you say?
Yes, the internet. It's a thing.
You
won't have to look far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Approachable. Can you?
For money. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. They have real life encounters, or is this all like a?
No, it's all fake.
It's all a fake.
No, it's all fake. Okay. Everything they do is fake.
Okay, you had me going for a second. I thought,
no, everything they. No, they'll talk to you for money, but it's fake.
Well, who wouldn't?
Yeah, but it's fake. I mean, they're actual people that are fake.
No. I spend plenty of money on my fake relationships already. I don't need fake ones over the internet.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well. But but you've got a generation of whores and johns, and in like the most simple terms, it's like they've distilled people down, with social media. So it's like the violence channel in THX 1138. It's exactly what it is, and there's no fluff around it. It's just people, doing stupid stuff for money, people having sex for money, people breaking stuff for money, and people burning down cities for the Democrats for money.
I'll tell you what, it did feel like I was living in the future when I was watching those riots on my VR headset, and I was watching them like live streamed. I was like, What is this? This is like Running Man territory. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I knew that we were in an orchestrated future. This future did not come about organically. People made it this way.
Right.
Because, all the primer was there, all the movies and shows. It was like, this is what the future will be.
Yeah.
It's like, and then the people grow up to be in our age, and they're like, how can we produce this content? How can we make the world like we saw it in the future, because we didn't get Back to the Future. That was the optimistic 80s. That is over.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everybody who grew up in that, they've been dismissed. And then now you've got everybody that grew up in the early 90s, and they're making everything the way it should be. It's like there's nothing optimistic about any of it.